you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome you to another Moorish Perspectives. Now I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imane Amohadi Shabazel. My ancient Comedian high name being the same as Dr. Shedwood Mintiel Mohajed Shepsuel. In Islam is a Moorish kin. We apologize for the delay, but Allah is leading on, and victory is sure, and you know He don't make no mistakes. So it's a grand drawing to come forth with this special subject matter and subject title as we are dealing with Yehoshua and Barata, and they reading the sacred books. You know, we had a class earlier today. We was talking about the book of creation. You know, in ancient Kemet, they called the plane sphere or the wheel or circle of life, they referred to it as the dendra. And the dendra is what the European like to refer to as the world of little animals. But nothing can be further from the truth. And we are dealing with the cycle of life, you know, Eonet, as we'll call it, divine light, or we even call it the angelic ladder, so to speak. You know, this is the pathway through which the ancient ones have come before us, and there will be those who come through these same stargates after us, so to speak. You know, and when we go into our actual subject chapter, and we definitely had to get this grand ayat on the manifest, ayat 16. We did send a link to our people as well, family, for those who would like to come forth to our panel. We sent it to the email. And backward through the ages, masterminds can trace themselves, and thus they know. Now, if we notice, dealing with this special drawing, this is the grand measure, being able to trace ourselves backward through the ages to make some contact with the exalted chiefs on high, as the Grand Quran call them, or, you know, the exalted assembly, so to speak. You know, the ascended masters. They use all type of terminology in reference to dealing with, you know, the mastermind, so to speak. Remember, we're dealing with the stargate through which the ancestors are able to communicate. You know, this is the door through which the angels or the Neteru, some people say Anunnaki, they can all communicate with us, you know, through these special stargates. But backward through the ages, now ages is in plural. And we can deal with our age on how long we've been here on the manifest, and that's an illusion, you know, to a certain degree anyway, when we're dealing with the time clock from that aspect. But remember, you know, we utilize these cycle ages, and this is how we deal with time, you know, as far as dealing with what we call the cycles, be it 25,000 years, 50,000 years, 100,000 years, and so forth and so on. So it is these same cycles, meaning the events that take place, that we utilize in order to trace ourselves back. And we know that there have been many cycle ages that have passed, you know, going all the way back to the time, or we can say many times, that we have ruled. In fact, to be honest with you and straightforward, you know, the last, let's say 700 years, so to speak, of the Moors, when they was reigning supreme, so to speak, from that particular time period all the way back before that time period, our ancestors were pretty much enthroned. They was on the throne. They was dealing with being the executive rulers. I'm talking about all the way back to the time in antiquity before that. But now in this modern time, after 400 some odd years, you know, of being enslaved, some of our people can't even comprehend the time when we were rulers. In fact, it seems mythical to us. It seems as if there is some form. Well, when we talk about it, it seems like, this is impossible to most of our people. They comprehend more about 400 years than they do a cycle age going. Even the prophet tried to go down to what we call 10,000 years in reference to the flag to get us to comprehend, because 50,000 was too much for the people to bear. But we see the cycles. Even some people can't even fathom, 2,000 year cycle age, or a day with the great God Allah being 1,000 years. People can't even comprehend that. And if that's the case, and you're dealing with, the great God Allah, if we understand it to be that way, and you go into multiplying that time 7 days, then we see things from a whole different aspect, when you get into it from that particular degree. But we know in all actuality, everything goes back to the 7. Everything that deal with the cycles relate to the 7. That's why we refer to our prophet as the 7th of the time. And he was the 7th of the time because those who came before him was the 7th of their time. And we can go all the way back to every cycle age that you can think about. The 7th of the time is on the manifest. The 7th of the time is on the manifest right now as a representation of us. And that's why we have the symbolic grand national seal. And the 7 is in the center of the 4 quadrants. You see? And the 4 quadrants represent going beyond the blue ethers. But that's a whole nother measure. Backward through the ages, masterminds. Now, it didn't say Negroes. It didn't say NBCs. It didn't say, any other thing that you can probably think of along the line of what you thought was a mastermind. And it said masterminds, in plural, can trace themselves, and thus they know. That means they have the ability to think for themselves, and they can trace themselves by means of their thought, and thus they know. That means they show about what they know. They know who made them, and they know how they came on to manifest. And in fact, we understand that this life manifests itself as a result of patterns. So by us tracing ourselves back through the ages, and we look at the patterns, these patterns give us the ability to be able to predict, so to speak, certain measures. And this is just based on wisdom. It ain't got nothing to do with no spookism. It has everything to do with patterns, because man always has to pattern his life, so to speak, according to the law of divinity that is made manifest during a particular time or cycle age. That law, is the law that govern all events during that particular time, just as the law that we have now, the supreme laws of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, we are able to demonstrate with now. Make no mistake about it. So I'm gonna go right here real quick. So let's see here. I'm gonna share this, and like I said, Moors, if you would like to come up, the link is in the inbox. We send it over to our Moorish kin. If not, all is well. I'm gonna share this screen though to the people that's out there, and we give honors to our beloved brother Marvin Edwards Bay for standing on the front line and holding the door open so that our people can get the drawing. I just want to go here. I'm gonna just hit this entire screen for the people that's there. We always want to give our people a grand insight as we deal with these measures. Because sometimes our people think that we are being, spooky when we use this language. Even right now they call it the New Age philosophy. They got all type of terminology. In other words, that's what the European call it. So our people use that title to try to criticize and critique the truth, and nothing is further from the truth. And what they're really referring to is the Hellenized version of what Rome has brought forth. And so we are here to clean all that up. We're not dealing with the Hellenic version of what Rome is talking about. We got a whole nother measure on the manifest. So let me see here. I'm trying to get this up here. Give me 1 second. Okay, there we go. I was trying to find my tab because I got it right here, and we go through this from time to time so that our people understand how we trace ourselves back as mastermind. See, if you look at this, this particular chart that was created by Act 1, dealing with the first religious creed, and you look at it, you can see that you have 360 degrees of knowledge here, and we're talking about 360 degrees of wisdom, understanding, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, they all together. But nevertheless, you got 90 degrees between each quadrant. And in the 90 degrees, which are symbolic pieces of divine pie, you notice they look like little pyramids here, right? Even though we looking at the round off measure, no big deal about that. We see the triads here being demonstrated. Whether you're dealing with the gospel of spirituality, the Quran, which is religion and law, or Chi, which is balance, Kung Fu and the body of life, and the analects of Confucius, and enlightenment of yoga and meditation, Zen, the Lama, yeah, the Mahayana. We see all of that here. And we also see the elements, earth, air, water, fire, the ether is right here in the center. That's Ali and 7. The earth is here, and the air is the most exalted here, dealing with longitude, right? And we know about the latitude going across here. And so this is the pathway through which the truth is able to come. So the angels have taken the truth and went from the center to the outer bound. You see the 7 in the center. So from the center, the truth, is going throughout these special gateways. Now, if we were to understand this, we are looking at this from an aerial view. This chart that was created, and we were to square this off, you can see a pyramid, so to speak. And I'm talking about, when I say square it off, I'm talking about trace a line directly from corner to corner at the base here, from the curve line. You see, and this is called, in most cases, a quadratic circle. You got 4 quadrants in it. You see, if we were looking at this from an aerial view, and we see how this truth has come, this truth had to come throughout the ages. But this is just the most recent, these 4 quadrants that we have right now. All of these came mostly within pretty much the same cycle age. This last cycle, this is dealing with the last 2100 years here, basically. Because we know that the teachings of Judaism, Islam, the teachings of Confucius and Buddhism, Krishna, when you're dealing with the Hinduist or Indus Valley civilization, all of these came in the same cycle, so to speak. And it was an end to the cycle when the prophet began the new measure, coming in on the cusp of the ages of what they like to call Aquarius. So we came out of that Piscean era, which is symbolic to him stepping out of the waters upon a solid ground. In a new era of time now, Pisces is symbolic to the fish, and the fish, denotes the water. So this is why we're saying that the end of the last cycle this new era in time that the prophet ushered in and initiated, we call it the age of benevolence, and so forth and so on. Kunam. And they represent our 12-step ladder. Symbolically, if you were to go within the quadrants of each, the 90 degrees with each quadrant, that's a sum total of 30 per quadrant. And when you add all of those together, the 30 itself will equal 90. But if you go 30, 30, 30 all the way around, you will come into the 12. So at 30 degrees as a representation, of what is known as the plane sphere of Gendra, which you see being demonstrated in the next chart that I showed, the Circle 7 made manifest. I put this together a few years ago. And you can see here, and I talk about it all the time, us being able to go through various different cycles. Like right now, we're actually dealing with the cycle of Kunam. Like I say, benevolence. We getting ready to celebrate the prophet's manifestation day. As we cross over from this particular time frame into Shu. And this is the fulfillment age of man as well. This is the time where we come into this, the prophet usher into the fulfillment age of man. This is what we actually celebrate every time we celebrate the prophet's manifestation day. Praise be to Allah. He also allowed my grand seed to come through that same birth chamber, so to speak, the same day the prophet was born. So looking at it from that aspect, we celebrate the fulfillment age of man. The fulfillment age of man is letting us know that everything that needed to be fulfilled in order for us to come forth and we can say put the capstone of completion upon the pyramid of life, everything that was demonstrated, it was already ordained, preordained, written. And so this is what we celebrate every cycle now. There's no need for anybody else to try to come outdo the prophet and what he done, because he already did what needed to be done. So like I said, coming in through the birth chamber of the age of benevolence, this is what he demonstrated. Kunam in ancient Kemet, for those who don't know, Kunam was known as the Hierophant. You'd often see him in the form of a pure white ram. And you will see him actually molding man on the potter's wheel. Kunam represents a new beginning. So it ain't strange that we talk about a new era of time now. So the prophet came in this same state of Kunam, just like Kunam in ancient Kemet, is found in the cosmology. The prophet himself was found in our cosmology, in the creation of a new nation here. The exhuming of a nation, yeah. The prophet has molded our Grand National Chairman on the potter's wheel. I had an experience where I actually didn't know it at the time, but Kunam was molding me on the potter's wheel. So it ain't strange that we hear this is the way the creation is demonstrated. And I'm going to tell you something too about ancient Kemet. Make no mistake about it. When you deal with, these different charts of cosmology, there are three main ones that are used when you deal with the Ennead. But, there are many different expressions of, creation concepts in ancient Kemet. Yet they all tie into each other based upon, the different measures of what was to be brought forth. Mainly you will hear of the Heliopolitan concept of cosmology and also the Hermopolitan. These are the Greek terms they like to use. You see? But nevertheless, the main aspect has to do with order coming out of chaos. And we ain't talking about no new world order in the sense that the European like to demonstrate it. You know, how did the chaotic measures come on to manifest in the first place? So the prophet brought some order out of the chaos, you know, of what was going on prior to him. He said he forgave the Moors for everything they did before he came. You know, so you see the same thing here. And we went over this before. You know, if you were looking at this, you can actually see, you know, the nature that governs your particular birth chart. And you can bring forth wisdom by understanding what's going on there with the same special measure. So as a mastermind, you can trace yourself back. And thus, you know, remember I told you, everything in life is based upon patterns. You see, so a lot of times we are really picking up where somebody great that came through the same chamber that we come through, we picking up where they left off at. If there was a mastermind who came and was doing a grand work that relate to the work that we doing right now, and you can find that a special mastermind by tracing through your birth chart. If you were to pick up where one left off, you know, this will add some light to the path of your destiny. Because each and every one of us have a path of destiny. You see? And we have to be careful based upon this, because having that destiny also come with adversarial opposition. If we know anything about the Piscean records or the Grand Quran or any teaching you can think of, every angel had an antithesis. Or every God man, every mastermind has always had opposition. And most of these represent what you hear a lot of people talking about now in this new era in time. They were monitoring spirits. You know, and these monitoring spirits is two types. You got monitoring spirits and you got familiar spirits. Monitoring spirits, you know, they can only tap into what you have put out there on the manifest as it relates to the teaching. You see, your mission and so forth and so on. It is their duty to try to get in the way of your destiny. You know, familiar spirits a little deeper because they can kind of tap into, you know, the thought when you put it on the manifest, so to speak. They got a little more God power. And this has to do with familiarity going back into the bloodline. You know, your ancestry is something that you may not even know about yourself. You know, the familiar spirits say, yeah, this one right here come through the line, you know, of one that was in opposition to us. And this is why it's necessary to study self and know who you are, you know, because you can get attacked or be under attack and be ignorant or oblivious, so to speak, to why you're being attacked. You see, so when you have hard ship, so to speak, you know, a lot of it is ordained by the great God Allah to forge you, you know, to make you a scimitar, so to speak, so that he can use you to fight divine battles. But if you don't know this and you just out there in the wind, you know, this can be a dangerous situation, you know, because you can find yourself in a lot of different conflicts, so to speak, because just as the great God Allah has his agents of divinity, Shaitan also has his agents of chaos. And so, like I said, the prophet was the one that brought us out of those type of mind states, so to speak. You know? So it don't get no plainer than the truth. But when you're able to trace yourself back, and thus you know how to stay out the way. Thus you know how to strive in the cause of the great God Allah. Thus you know why you are striving in the cause of Allah. It all has to do with understanding who you are. Because I don't care what type of vibration you're dealing with outside of the great God Allah. Don't nothing extend this will beyond his will unless you believe that it's more powerful than the great God Allah. So again, why is it necessary? Why is it necessary for you to trace yourself back so that you know? So that you can stand in defense of the gospel and not be spiritually ambushed. That's the main thing. So it took these same type of teachings in order for us to arm ourselves. You know, we already armed with resolution, but to arm ourselves with the truth so that we may become conquerors. If we go into this teaching, we were going into our 101s recently, 102s anyway, and we were talking about who was the first person into whom Yehoshua reincarnated, Prophet Muhammad, the conqueror. You know, and some of us, remember, if we the return of the ancient ones, and it was over 60 million, you know, when you go back to the fall of Atlantis and so forth and so on, then that means the return of the ancient one, you talking about coming back through the gates. The angels ascend and descend. It states in the Grand Quran that ones with past form, it is Allah who calls us to go to our demise, and then we rise up again in forms in which we know not. People don't pick up on that. And all this is symbolic to even the seasons if you read the book of creation. You know, all the way dealing with fall, winter, spring, and summer. They all represent birth, you know, death, as we call it, and rebirth. Make no mistake about it. It don't get no plainer than the truth. You see? All of these cycles are manifested in reading the book of creation, if we pay attention to it. So yeah, the prophet represented Hunam. And not only did he come forth and, like I say, mold all of us on the potter's wheel individually. If you hear, it ain't no mistake. You know, this didn't just happen by chance. We here because we have a divine purpose. We got work to do. We were called. See? We come from the causeless cause and rootless root. The source, pure activation. So yeah, the prophet, again, you know, he come forth, you know, manifesting benevolence, but also the fulfillment age of man. And this is also what we call Shu. Why is it necessary for Shu to come behind Kunam? Because after we were molded on the potter wheel, though the body was there, there was something that was needed to animate the body. So it's quite natural that holy breath should follow. So Shu, he ushered in the age of Shu Netta. You see? In that breathing forth of the holy breath was also the breath that gave us the science of life. We came with it. You know how they say batteries not included? Well, batteries may not be included in a lot of the, you know, little things that Rome come up with. They used to have batteries. They started taking them out. But when you deal with us, you know, holy breath is always present. And the only thing that can encapsulate the holy breath are soul acts of divinity. Thinking, willing, reason, understanding, remembrance. You see? Oh, yeah. So it ain't strange when we deal with this concept And we deal with these cycles. Because there was a time that our ancestors, as we always say, they were able to hold a particular thought 2,100 years. That's what the cycle represents. That means that that particular people who came under that age or that cycle, they were governed under the age of benevolence at one time. It wasn't no Negro them going on, and black them and colored them, and none of that. You see, they could hold a thought, and that's the science of being a mastermind. When you get to being able to hold a thought of the fulfillment age of man, 2,100 years, meaning now everybody couldn't hold a thought. It was the masterminds that was able to trace themselves generation to generation. Every generation have had their generations of masterminds. They have had their ascendant master, the master teachers that were teaching during that time. These were the ones that were able to hold a thought. And not only that, they also bore witness to the previous thought of the master thinkers that came before them. And this is the same reason why we say Prophet Noble Drew Ali came 5 times more powerful. Because that's the nature of mastermind. That means that those who were master thinkers before him, he was only taking on the power of those who came before. That's why in the Grand Quran, it was said that there was an oath. Some people use that terminology. We don't use it. We say sacred vow. There was a sacred vow that the prophets took. We correct that. You see what I'm saying? So there was a sacred vow that all the prophets took that they would support each other. Past, present, and future. Meaning the ones they never know, never met, the ones that they might have crossed paths, because John the Baptist and Yehoshua was on the manifest at the same time. A few other prophets were. But in most cases, it was the major prophet, that's most memorable amongst them. But they were on the manifest, and they also had to bear witness in their sacred vow of their brethren. That's the order of the prophets, the prophetic brotherhood. Okay, come on now. It don't get no plainer than this. So they bore witness to those that were past, present, and those whom they would not meet, who would come in the future. Make no mistake about it. And there were some that Allah mentioned and some that he didn't mention. But when you get into talking about 124,000, like I was telling our Moorish kid today, ain't nowhere in the world Allah done revealed 124,000 prophets, and our prophet one day in the midst somewhere. The main 25 that they mentioned in the Grand Quran, we all know who they are, but they went to their nation. These were major prophets. You got major prophets and minor prophets. You see? But mastermind, men who have mastered themselves, they can trace themselves back, and thus they know, and that's why they know how to teach their people when it's time to teach them. You see? So yeah, you can see this, and you also see, where I have eagle, lion, ox, and man. And I put this here because in most charts you will see it. And if you look in parentheses, I showed the wajet, which would correspond with what they like to call eagle in this age, wajet, the winged serpent, then man, then you have the ox, which is an expression of Asa, even, he had, he basically represented that energy at a particular time. You got Sekhmet, the lion, a lioness, so to speak. So when we look at this ladder, of the Neteru, the wrongs, they also synonymous with the 12-step ladder that we demonstrate, and that's why you see a different aspect of the 12-step ladder being expressed. See, this is the key. It's our duty and obligation to rebuild Kemet. You see? And it's already there. Everything you need, all the materials are there for the building process. We've actually already done it, and that's why you see us teaching. We got to come up out of that Hermetic philosophy, though. The Hermetic philosophy was good while it lasted. The Hermetic degrees should be referred to as Kemetic degrees. Hermetic actually deals with a mixture between Egyptian and Greek teaching. And there were some Kemites that were under duress, and they were forced. Some of them sold out, but some were forced against their will to express the Kemetic teaching through Greek eyes. And this is what has been fed to us and passed down to us. And many of our people have taken those things and they can't even accept the truth because they are too caught up into the Hellenistic Greco-Roman expression, of the things that our ancestors brought. So that's one of the things that we specialize in. We were able to take what the prophet brought us and correct a lot of the Romanized concepts of Kemet, all the way down to the language, knowing how to deal with the language in ancient Kemet, knowing the difference between the language, and the metaphysics, and so forth and so on. The prophets gave us a methodology. He brought us a methodology because Yehoshua was able to look at signs and symbols and understand that they were for conscious mind and men and women of understanding. And when he told him to find himself, he found himself alone. Yehoshua found himself alone in a chamber and was told to study and contemplate upon the hieroglyphs, the inimitable perfections of the great God Allah, basically. You see, so this is what we are doing. This is the job of mastermind. They can trace themselves back, and thus they know we have the pen in our hand right now. So now we are writing the history in spite of what somebody else say that believe in this Romanized and homogenized lie that has been brought forth, in these various different secret societies, these orders of chaos. So Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who brought order out of the chaos, and he told us that Masons and Christian preachers will fight him tooth and nail. They'll be the last to accept his truth, but they cannot win. Remember, masterminds are able to trace themselves back, thus they know. And so this is the ability of being able to trace yourself back right here. That's why we created the Circle Self-Made Manifest. We know exactly who made us. And it don't get no plainer than the truth. So, yeah, everything here, we corrected these things. And we even broke it down before. You can go in here and read this because it ain't necessary for me to do that right now. But what I will say is, and this is the website, Mathino's Archives of Tehuti. I went through this not long ago. 25,000 times 4 cycle ages is 100,000 years of history and circumnavigation. You see? Powerful. So if you understand how, just going through the various cycles, if the great God Allah hasn't been able to reach our people, as a result of all the master teachers, masterminds, and ascended masters and exalted chiefs on high that have come over these cycle ages, that goes to show you how deep and steep we were buried. All of these cycle ages that have come on the manifest, just 10,000 years of history as it relates to the truth should be enough. Not even that much, just 2,100 years, as we just showed you on the chart. That should be enough truth. Let's come up a little for 100 years. And all of that truth that has come over 100-year span of time And for those who can't comprehend 100 years as it relate to time, and you think that's something spooky, but then why do you accept it when Rome tell you that, they found different time periods of man in existence? We already know the oldest actual man, and not no ape and beast, but that oldest man that they found, was the Jebel Uhud around 350,000 years ago. And this one actually was known at one time before he was known as Homo erectus. He was known as the Atlantis Mauritanicus, by the scientists. Atlantis and Mauritania, But when we go into this special drawing and we deal with a time frame of 100,000 years, and you see that the scientists are using this same language. When you get into the Atlantean history, they begin to mention the 400,000 years, as it relates to the Lemurians and, Atlanteans coming in at a particular time period, around the 300,000 mark. They actually go even further back based upon which age of the cataclysmic event that took place, because that's another measure. 400,000 is more recent. But when you go further back, we're talking about 2.5 million years ago and all of that. And the European used them same type of time frames and try to trace apes back that far, and so forth and so on. But our people don't want to believe it. I mean, Prophet Noble Drew Ali was on to something when he came up with his 101. Because our people wasn't thinking nothing like that. They thought the world was 6,000 years old. We got some people out there teaching that now. And that's the European time frame. In fact, the European has never seen a full cycle age of 25,000 years ever in their life. They talk about it. They talk that mud, and run the history down about it, but they ain't never seen no 25,000 years. They ain't seen a 10,000 year cycle age, because people go only furthest back to 6,000 years. But our people done been on this thing since time immemorial. Our DNA go back to the cosmos. Come on, Moors. We go back to the time when we was there with the great God Allah. Go back to Proverbs chapter 8. And understand Qadam. And what one was saying, I was there before anything ever brought it. It wasn't Jesus talking neither. Don't even tell you that lie. It wasn't Yehoshua talking. Yehoshua wasn't nowhere on the manifest when that was going down. These were David writing the Psalms, one of Yehoshua's ancestors. He said it. He said, man, I was there before any, lowest part of the dust, of the earth, before anything happened, before the water. I was there. Even David knew who he was. Yeah. So, yeah, when you look at this, and now we look at what the chairman had placed here in one of our lessons, and this is dealing with that 12-step ladder, redemption, Moorish America, the pure and clean nation. That's what's supposed to be on the manifest in the end time and the fulfillment of the prophecy. The third and fourth generation, 3 + 4 is 7. He said he was going to take his good Moors up in the apparatus on the incline till it's all over with. And apparatus most definitely has to do with divine technology, but on another level, an apparatus also represents a government. So there's a macrocosmic expression and a microcosmic, a macrocosmic and a microcosmic apparatus that the prophet was referring to. Because he told the Moors he was going to take them up above the sun, moon, and stars around the almighty throne of Allah, his arsh, his kursi. And we know Allah rose above his throne, istawa. He rose. That's the Arabic terminology. So the lost found tribe of Ali, that's us. That's what's on the other side of the door. And if you look at this right here, it's somewhat is a step pyramid. You see the 12-step ladder, the same thing that was mentioned, with the Neteru in the chart I created up there. But then you see ones moving up on the incline from a state of belief to faith, from faith into fruition. Fruition is the time of us coming forth as a clean and pure nation being redeemed. Prophet Noble Drew Ali was our redeemer, but he couldn't be our redeemer unless he himself had went through the pathway of redemption. We're not trying to browbeat you over the head with some religion, and make you believe, that Prophet Noble Drew Ali, his blood was shed for your salvation like the European tried to do with Yehoshua. Even though our prophet did go to his demise and drop the garb for his people so that he could teach his people from the plane of soul, because there the enemy can't hide. And when he went into the plane of soul, he was the first amongst our people to take the scimitar that was already in rotation within the heavens and cut away anything that was ungainly among our people. I'm going to tell you something more. We going into the year 2025 soon. This is the year of the more. This is the year of the wheel of industry, as it has turned, and it will be in our favor. Don't worry about how it looks. None of what you hear, what you see, 2 and 5 is 7. And we already know when we're dealing with that, we're talking about a cycle. So everything that was necessary to unfold between that particular time period, or the distance that has led us up to this special point of destination, we will see. And this thing is going to expose who's really with the prophet and who is not with the prophet. So playtime is over. 2025 is the year of the more. The year of the Moorish Muslim. You see? So yeah, man, we already got it, everything here. And so we equate that again with our theocratic constellation of Moorish America. Everything it is that we have sought. We will see a grand deal of our people. The talk of 2025, you're going to see our people discussing more about self-determination. And this is why I say this is the year of the more. The floodgates are open, Moors. It's time for them 16 secretaries, that's coming forth. We got work to do. I'm going to just say it that way. So, this is a powerful thing. But masterminds able to trace themselves back. Thus, they know everything came from our ancestors. Everything. Everything came from our ancestors. They the one that laid the foundation. So, like I said, our holy prophet, has been molding each and every one of us on the potter's wheel, just as he had been molded. So, yeah, that's all I want to say. I want to give honors to our brother Marvin Elvis Bay again, as well, for what he demonstrated. And it's been a grand drawing. All I can say is Islamism without the schism. And at this time, what we're going to do, we're going to begin to open up the floor so that we can hear from our Moorish kin. And y'all give me a chance so I can share the sound real quick. So I'm going to stop this right here, and then we're going to, I want to make sure the sound is being shared here. So I got to stop sharing that and reshare it. And then I share it with the sound. So yeah, this is a powerful demonstration. Hopefully our family got something out of this right here. Let's see here. Okay, we're going to share the screen. Come on now, pop back up. Okay, there we go. Okay, I already had the option to share the sign. Okay, so our family definitely can get it. So we're gonna hit entire screen, hit the sign again to make sure that our people can get it. Ain't nobody teaching like this here. Y'all ain't never heard the Moors, demonstrate on this level. We demonstrate practicality. We ain't trying to take you back to church. Because the prophets say get a church in Christianity back to the European. So hold on here. There we go. Share that. All right, so we good now. And so more *6 your phones so that the family can hear from you. Anybody that would like to come forth and give their measure.
Islam.
Islam, Sister Curta Bay.
Islam. That engineer Kurt Bay. First, let me rise and give praises to great God Allah. I give honors to our holy prophet. Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to Act One. I give honors to all my government officials, and I give honors to our Council General of Texas, Dr. Marvin Edwards Bay, for holding down the fort. And I give honors to you, National Assistant Grand Chief. Wow, good gracious. You got my little head just spinning. I'm definitely got to go back and listen to this playback, because I tell you, this was a powerful, powerful class. And you was coming from Ayat 16. And I tell you, this whole chapter is so powerful. We know, we have to do what we have to do, and then we have to study on our own 16 and backwards through the ages. Masterminds can trace themselves and things, and a lot of things that I would like to go deeper into, and especially when you was talking about the and do some of my own research on it. And the last thing I just want to bring up because of time, as you was talking about telling us about the, I believe you call it the Hermetic teachings, which was which was our teachings and the Greek teachings mixed up. And I tell you, God, man, that is so true, that we need to know what was ours and what the Greeks had tried to mix in with our teachings. And thanks to our ears class, I can definitely witness to what you're saying, and I can definitely we because we have done it. We've gone back and we've done the research, we've done the work, and we've seen how, and we know that Alexander the Greek, we don't call him great, Alexander the Greek went in and how they stole our teachings, and then they try to mix it back in with our teachings, and even people today, and I saw firsthand how you went against some of our people who, I mean, were so dogmatic about what the European had said versus what we have said, and we had the proof. Documentation beat conversation, but they didn't want to accept what we were saying because it was coming from somebody whose skin color was like ours. But soon as that European say the same thing that we were saying, then they were willing to accept it. Oh God, man, that was so powerful, talking about that, how our teachings, the Hermetic teachings, had been mixed in with that Greek teaching, and if you don't know the difference, you'll get carried off in the wrong direction. And last but not least, when you was talking about the year 2025. I think everybody, if you close with the great God of law and in touch with the prophet, you can sense it. You can sense something great is getting ready to happen. Yeah, it's gonna be. If you ain't studying, if you ain't what you supposed to be, it's gonna be on. We gonna really see who is for the prophet and who's not, especially when they do that inauguration in next month. You gonna really see who's for the prophet and who's not, and who know his teachings and who's standing, who got him out front and got him. He said, imitate all your prophet, and he said, I brought you everything to save a nation, not taking to save yourself. And God, man, you just covered so many good things, and you was talking about the different cycle ages and things of that nature, and I'm not going to try to go into them now because I know I'm always keen and biting at the bit. But like I said, definitely got to go back and listen to that playback. And gratitude for the chart. Definitely go back and study that also. Great class, great class. Gratitude for letting me share. Peace and love.
Gratitude for that grand measure. So yeah, oh yeah, there's a lot that's gonna be manifested. And this is why masterminds must trace themselves back so they're gonna know what's going on. So if you're a mastermind, like I said before, you gonna get it. But if somebody else got your mind and they done mastered your mind, you in trouble. Islam. Well, all right. Is there any other more who would like to come forth and exercise their fire? The floor is still open. Don't get no plainer than truth.
Islam,
Islamism.
gratitude, God, man, gratitude. All praises be to the great God Allah. Honor to his holy prophet, noble. Islam, Islam, Islam. Once again, I rise and I give praise to the Almighty great God Allah. I give the highest honor to his holy prophet, our holy prophet, noble Drew Ali. His high name, Sheikh El Haj Sharif Abdul Ali. I give high honors to the greatest.
We can hear you more. Oh, sure. Can you hear me more? All right. Let's see. How about Consul General of Iowa, Dr. Bati Bey? Are you available more?
Islam? Islam. Can you hear me? Islam. one thing, I was a little preoccupied. Is there a way you can give me the topic, please, so I can stay on point? Is that? Islam. And you know, what's closing, first I'd like to rise, give our man of praise to Allah, honest to the prophet, honest to our theocratic government, our royal council, our flag, seal, emblem, our divine constitution, our swift angels, our multi, our citizens alike, our flag, seal, emblem, honest to all the morals that are here in attendance in the sound of my voice, all the ones that had a hand in bringing about this class, and honest to you for this class. And you know, when a mastermind traces himself back, a lot of times, if we're talking about the immediate life that we're having, this cycle age, as you was mentioning before, this cycle age that we are currently in, and I'm not even talking about the full cycle age, I'm just talking about the portion of existence that we're talking about right now. A lot of times you trace yourself back in order to fix those, what they call generational curses. And you know, for some people, they'll say that you being the whatever the outcast or the what they call the black sheep of the family, are you're the one that's supposed to fix the generational curses, and that mind or that mind frame or that mentality of that burden being put solely on you is to attend to and fix their own. But when we're talking about tracing themselves back, and a mastermind tracing themselves back, and one being kind of like the beacon light for those, typically the ones that they call the outcast, the black sheep, is that one that is the beacon light, because they're actually going to go through and do all the work right before your face. And so, like even when I went through my my downtrodden on, I had to trace all those thoughts, all my negative thoughts, and why I ain't gonna even say I trace those ones back to the nucleus of why it happened, and that allowed me to, you know, what they would call the afterburners, to go further, you know, and to go further forward as opposed to back. And as you're reprimanding the past, you're catapulting yourself into the future, because that's how masterminds are built. They're built from the toil that they conquer in the realm of life that they are immediately living right now, which typically most people call the present. You know, and but you do have to trace yourself back and understand that you're not something of the conditions on any form of level, i.e., being political, economics, social, of those categories. You're not the product of that. That you go actually further back. You know what I'm saying? And that's when we got in our one-on-ones, who made you. And then in those first 15, the prophet is telling you basically, I got to teach you to be yourself. Well, who were you? Who are you? And what is your nationality? Those are your checkpoints along the way. The biggest hurdle is to know where you come from, so that you know you're not the flesh. You know, because if you think you're the flesh, then you think you're just going to live and die. Once you know that you are beyond the flesh, and that if you have done this a multitude of times, you will understand that your mission in coming back and keep transmuting into this existence, that you are here to fix those problems in your life. Everybody got to do this. Even Yehoshua said, you are each one a priest for yourself. So that means that each one has to go through pass through all ways of life, where you have to be the what do they call it? The lower self, and the higher self. You have to pass, and part of the material age or the material plane that we're on is and I don't mean lower self as them being, necessarily the full-fledged all-star devil. I'm just talking about you have to go through that in order to reach to those higher tones of life. So you have to go through all that in order to reach that state of perfection where that you can conquer things in the physical. Once you be able to conquer things in the physical, then the spiritual is yours, is your whole I don't want to say in a sense the playground, but it is there for you to rule. And that's what really we're here to do, is to conquer our physical fetters in order for us to be more mentally astute when we get into the spirit realm. Because those foes that are in the spirit realm, we have to know are not real neither. There's only one, the five highest things that are in existence are our principles, them being love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And so there's nothing really outside of that. Everything else is just a figment of your imagination and what you create for yourself, or what do you destroy, or the things that you destroy in order to create those heaven qualities, those heaven like qualities of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So with that, I'll leave it a common peace as well.
In Islam, grand man, we give honors to you for that love thought, and it's definitely in line with the divine. So yeah, we are here to break these curses. And that's why I was saying earlier about, these monitoring spirits out here know who we are. So if you wonder why you have been under attack, there are certain spirits that are familiar. The monitoring is, they already know your birth was announced, so they already know you're on the manifest. But the familiar, they know you throughout all the cycle ages, because they know that somebody was coming to do the work in the nature of, the kingdom of darkness is definitely working in opposition and trying to redirect the course, so to speak. In other words, redirect you from your mission. And the only way that this can be done is that you basically allow yourself to be taken by storm, so to speak. And we know the storm deity in ancient Kemet was Set, to become set, in your ways, for you to give up the ghost, so to speak. A lot of people think give up the ghost mean, you physically dead. But to give up the ghost, and they like to use the term Holy Ghost and equate that with holy breath. In other words, give up the work, that you are sent to do. And then go and do something else. And this open you up after you move off the path of your destiny for some destruction. Yes, sir. Islam?
I just wanted to add, pardon the body, cutting into your wisdom. That's one of the reasons why they take your feet as a baby. They make a copy of your feet, because they be reading your astrological, your sign, your birth. Because ultimately they're the hurrah. The government is looking for the hurrah. Is being the hurrah, looking for the children that are going to come through and correct the manifest of what we see before our face. And so if they can stop it and do, like you said, the monitoring spirits, they can stick these ones on you. And that tends to happen to a lot of us, and partially the reason why we're here in this safe haven. Islam, peace and love.
Correct. Yeah, and it's definitely through the feet that one is actually, your footprints clearly cut. Some of our footprints clearly cut before we got here. That's right. And being that they already written in the sand, you done had ones trying to examine that demonstration and utilize it against you. So yeah, Rome is definitely out there working
Islam.
In the dark. Islam. Oh yeah, we done woke Brother Marvin Edward Bay back up. It's on now.
Listen, is that you on the conference call part, or I'm on the panel part right now?
Yeah, go to the conference call, because they ain't gonna be able to hear you if you don't.
Yeah, I know something because I heard and I didn't hear. Okay.
Islam?
Islamism.
Gratitude. Let me get a little space over here. Yeah, most powerful class. You took us. I mean, you took us on up. That's what it's all about. Getting those pieces that was taken away. So so we can trace ourselves back. You know what I mean? And the only way we're gonna do that is through our ancestors, and through the true teachings that the prophet brought, and those that are amongst us, like yourself, the chairman, the grand chief, that's the grand secretary in this North American government. Because everybody else that was here, hopefully they make it back. Some are coming back, but it's all written anyway. You know, but so you brought some powerful keys on. You talk about how we we are predestined. We already know. And in our own consciousness is where all of the embedded truths are. You know, then we can truly say, because the more I'm in this North American government, you know, the more I continue to do the right things, you know, eat right, think right, most importantly, you know, and see myself as more than this body, you know, because he said we will once again eat from our native plane, which is spirit, you know. So I don't know, we may end up being breatharian again, I don't know. But praise God for sending us a prophet, you know, who showed us the way. Because if it wasn't for the prophet, we would be lost forever in a day. And that was their intention, you know. And they continue to try to mislead, divert our attention, divert, that is, division, you know. So as long as we maintain, like Brother Dr. Bay was saying, those 5 highest principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and we'll get to the top. I mean, we're on top already, but then we will be able to bring others, you know, to partake in this work. Because that's what it's all about, unifying with the family. You know, that's all I like to say. Gratitude, man. Appreciate all you do. Gratitude. Peace and love.
Yes, sir. And gratitude for what you brought forth as well, you know, brother, because, you know, Bati Bay said it best, you know, Herod is on the manifest, you know, and they've been waiting, you know, and each and every one of us, whether we know it or not, if you notice, it's just one from amongst each and every one of our families, you know, and we have been chosen to do this work. You know, some people call us black sheep or whatever you want to call it, you know, but that's a dead sheep. You know, I heard Mary had a little lamb and his feet was white as snow. You know, and we already know the symbology behind this. You know, so some of our people are being led by the Judas goat to the slaughter. And all of it has to do with being ignorant of who they are, not knowing who they are. And so they basically like lamb being led to the slaughter. Unfortunately. You know, so yeah, it's time to stand up for the divine. All right. Is there any other more who would like to come forth and exercise their fire? We know we done set somebody's soul on fire with love and holy zeal.
Islam.
Islamism. I wonder what happened to our brother Gary Myers Bay. But go ahead, brother Michael Moore Bay.
Praise be to Allah. I'm to our Prophet number do Allah praise Allah. I'm to our Prophet number do Ali. And honest to this class. You know, you said a lot of things, you know, that made a whole lot of sense. And when you spoke about 2025 being a year of the more, you know, that really kind of touched me.
Because due to the time, I went to the Holy Quran of Mecca. It teaches that we are here to be tried to reveal who is to be the best in conduct. And these Jews or Christians and other people, they think that it's all right to disobey the ordinances of Allah. And we know that Allah has sent us a prophet, our prophet Nahudu Ali, the last prophet in these days and time. And they think what Allah says we shouldn't do. But the others seem to do whatever, they think that seems reasonable to them. And they think they're right. I was looking at the Surah 2, Ayat 120 of the Grand Quran, where it says that the Jews or the Christians will never be satisfied with you, the prophet, unless you follow their religion. And it says, Allah says that the guidance of Allah, that is the only guidance. And if you follow their desires after the knowledge that has reached you, then you will find neither protector nor helper against Allah. And it goes on to say that those to whom we have sent the book, study it as it should be studied. And I couldn't help but think about our Holy Quran. Our prophet said that the Moorish Holy Quran was the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca. And it goes on to say that they are the ones who believe in it. And for those who reject faith in it, the loss is their own. I see all this wisdom because we know when we become one with Allah, we become masterminds and take control over our lower self and become as above, so below. So as our God is, so are we, who have obtained our vast estate. Because we know that the great work of masterminds is to restore the heritage of man, to bring us back to our seat on the only throne and that is in one's heart, and represent that 5-pointed open green star and scimitar in the center of our flag. As we know it, it is illuminated within the white circle that is the perfect symbol that represents the pure heart and mind from which we come, and emanate these messages of purity and love. And where we use that hammer in the workshop of the mind, where we take the truth and pound it in until it becomes a part of every part, and understand that there is no God but the great God. And we know that Mecca is the center of the highest point or the highest part above the neck. Praise Allah. And knowing that He is days and times. I definitely agree with you. The prophet came, he made the broken wires and had connected them with the high power. And that's our government. He brought us our. He said, I brought you your nationality and your religion and the title to your vast estate. North America. What do you want me to do? Kill you. You know, that's a very profound statement, you know, because Allah alone guides the destiny of this divine and national movement. And he also said one day, all of the property is going back to the government. So here we are once again, living and fulfilling the prophecies and being what the great God made us. Praise Allah. Because you know, man, and in the flesh, we find the heart. And when the fix is solved, the lower self has been conquered, then the essence lays bare to be ourselves, our higher self. Praises be to Allah and unto this class, God, man. So here we are. Because, you know, this represents the disintegration. You know, they say that disintegration is the death of the carnal self. And the essence of the God self takes on a higher tone, known as flesh divine. Praises be to Allah. Human spirit, clothed his soul in the form of Allah himself, the truth, the holy breath made of flesh. And this is a mighty time and day that we live in, to be here to demonstrate what it is to be a Moorish American national. Gratitude for this class. Praise Allah for you. Peace and love.
Peace and love, brother. Peace and love. Gratitude. All right, at this time,
Islam
peace and
comment, if you
love,
speak, we can't hear you.
gratitude. At this time, we're going to go to the officials. We give honors to you, brother Michael Morbay, for that drawing. Islam. Let us call forth our
Islam.
beloved Assistant Grand National Secretary of the State, Sister Alseta Moon Air. Islam, you there, Goddess and Queen?
Islam.
Islamism.
Gratitude. First, let me rise and give all praises to Allah and all honors to our Prophet individually, honors to our Moorish American government, to our officials of our government and our citizens. Honor to God, man, and national systems, and she the Moorish America for bringing forth a grand Moorish perspective this evening. Honors to our Goddess and Queen, our national grand secretary of the state of Moorish America, Dr. Chef from Day for holding the reign and opening our conference call contra law. Honors to our brother man, Dr. Edward Bay, our Consul General of the state of Texas, for taking over for you until you got in line and reading doing our registration and reading for the chapter of the week also. I think another goddess read the chapter of the week. Honors to her, praise the Lord. I can't remember the name. I think it was our National Grand Secretary, Assistant Grand Secretary of State. That's the name, Engineer Curtis Bay. I hope I got that right. It's not. Can I have the topic again, please? I know it's chapter. I think it's chapter 5, ayat 16. I think you were coming from. I got that right.
It's Islam, sister. We coming from ayat 16. Masterminds able to trace themselves back and thus say no.
Islam. Okay, that was right. Islam. Okay. Gratitude. I was listening to all that you were saying and letting us know that, like Dr. Bati Bay said, Herod is on the manifest. Because we know who's here. Just because they know the prophets that was coming, and once they were born, it was announced. They know who was here also. And it's I'm glad that it's being said. I mean, people recognize it, but it's one thing to recognize it, another thing to say it. And I see it in the youths. I'm not talking about the ones that are conscious, but the ones that are unconscious. They have a zeal, a whole different zeal. Of course, some of it is going in the wrong direction, but the thing that I look at the most is the fact that they're fearless. And the prophet said he can need fearless young men and women. And he said they're coming with their eyes wide open. They're being born now with their eyes wide open and their understanding sharp. They may not have found their purpose yet, but they have the characteristics that's necessary to move forward as a nation of people. And the prophet told us that because he said, if the old Moors, those don't follow his teaching, they're going to be moved to the back seat by the young ones because they're coming to do the job. They have a job to do. So you can't take it personal because it ain't about you, it's about the 60 million plus that the prophet came with the teachings to free. With these divine teachings, these ancient and divine teachings to uplift a nation and to free a nation. And it's not about personality, conflicts. It's about the mission of nation state. And so when you said that they know who's here, and there's will always be one whom they call the black sheep. But it ain't no such thing. The sheep, prophet said, but my sheep hear my sheep hear my voice, and a stranger they will not follow. And you say it was as white as snow. Praise the Lord. Man, it's important to listen to the words. Prophet said, heed, take heed. Because the truth is what makes one free. This was a grand demonstration. Praise the Lord. It was a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge. And that's why it's good to hear it. No matter how much time, it still takes one up to a whole nother level of understanding, a whole nother degree of knowing and understanding. Gratitude for the grand class. Islamism. Peace and love to all my Moshkin.
And gratitude for the measure, sister. Praise be to Allah. Islamism without the schism. Well, all right. Let us call forth our National Grand Mufti, Dr. Kanchu Ma'ak Heru Bey, the Royal Council, Islam. You there, Grand Man?
Islam. You hear me? That's our religion. Islam, I got you. Praise Allah for you, Muslims. We rise giving all thanksgiving, adoration, worship, and praise to our Father God Allah. We give the highest honors that we can give to his prophet, our prophet, the last prophet in these days and times, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the savior of humanity. We give honors to his forerunner, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. And we give honors to his government, our government, the Moorish American government, the government in which we live according to Act 6. We give honors to the officials of that government, our divine ministers, our swift angels, our mufti, our royal council, our secretaries. We give honors to our citizens, the Moorish Americans. We give honors to our flag and our divine constitution and bylaws, the Holy Quran, our Grand National Seal and our Grand National Emblem, our Book of Fire, the Exhument of a Nation. We give honors to everything that is Moorish. We give a special high honors to you, National Sister Grand Sheik, Dr. Shadu Amini Ahmedu Shepsuel, for this grand Moorish perspective this evening. We give honors to all of our Moorish kin who have spoken before us and to our Moorish kin that will speak after us. We give honors to you, angels. We just continue to give the honors where they're due in honoring all true and divine prophets. We give honors to our ancestors. They came before us leading the way, and we are them today without doubt or contradiction, because no one has the power to change man from his descent nature. And, so that is why masterminds can trace themselves back, and thus they know. Because one can't be changed from their descent nature. And when you master the mind, by tracing oneself back, then you recognize that you come from the source. You know, where does it all come? Where does consciousness come from? You know, that's from Allah, from the Creator. When it's all said and done, the consciousness, or as our Quran says, it's not that's the think or the bones of reason. So the consciousness is not in the actual material form. It comes along with the spirit. So the mastermind, one mind, and that's the mind of God, the divine mind. There's only the one. It's only one life we have, and that's the life of God. You know, we all come from, according to chapter 1, we are the thoughts of Allah, planted in the soul of soul. You know, enclosed with that form and guard, and then it continued to vibrate slower until it got to this plane that we see, what we call the 3 dimension. It's something that you can't see, but it's right in front of you, because we're looking at dimensions and not space and distance. We're talking about just the different dimension in the same space. And then that we could see, you trace yourself back, you can say, okay, now from that understanding, I got to approach the whole situation different. Or one should. If you're trying to maximize your experience, if you're trying to be about the purpose of what you was created for, because why are thoughts created? It's a question one have to ask themselves. What is the thinking for? The curiosity, the wonder, the intellectual, drawing, spiritual, and esoteric understanding. What are all these thoughts for? Because man got to go through all the ways of life in order to, it's a beautiful drawing when you trace yourself back and see the simplicity of it, so that you can discard all the extra stuff that's not really needed. Because when you discard it, you find yourself at peace. And peace is what Islamism is what we're talking about. So when you master your mind, you find your way back to peace. And peace is the most valuable thing, as most of us know, that you can have. To be able to, I won't say unwind, but have a place and know that and a bunch of drama and negative energy. It's just a place where one can rest from the exercise of strength. Dog. It's just a grand measure, Mo. You know, you put it out here. I just want to add that to it because that's just how I look at it. It's what I draw off of when I think about that. Are we tracing us? Masterminds are tracing themselves back. They mastering their mind, tracing themselves back. Why? And thus they know. Islam. Gratitude for calls forth. Gratitude to you, Moorish America, for being here with us, giving us your time, attention, respect. We love you. Islam and peace.
And Islam and peace to you as well, brother.
Mr. Grant, if you're speaking, can't hear you.
Can you hear me now, brother?
Islam.
Yes, sir. Islam and peace to you as well, brother. Islamism without the schism. All right. Well, let us call forth our Grand National Secretary of State, Sister Hatshepsut Rakat Ma'at Anpu Tutankhamun Bey. Islam, you there, Grand National Secretary of State?
Most of the thought, gratitude.
Islam, you a little low, Grand Secretary of State.
Can you hear me more?
Okay, we can hear you a little better, Islam.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, that's loud and proud. That's what I'm talking about.
Gratitude. Praise the Lord. Islam Moorish Ken. First of all, I'm going to rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet Noble Jura Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our Moorish American government, all of our officials, staff, Swift angels, muftis, divine ministers, most especially our Moorish kin. Giving honor to our family online, giving honor to all of those that open our meeting according to law, also to our Consul General of Texas, Dr. Marvin Edwards Bay, for taking registration. We also want to give honor to Dr. Marvin Edwards Bay for standing in for our National Assistant Grand Sheik, and giving honor to our National Assistant Grand Sheik of Moorish America, Dr. Shedowa Menti El Mohed Shepsuel. It was a beautiful class brought forth by both of my brothers. Our subject matter coming from Ayat 16 of our subject chapter for the week and backward through the ages. Masterminds can trace themselves, and thus they know. There were so many keys brought forth in this special class. Also giving honor to all of those Moors that spoke before me and all those Moors that will speak after me. When I was looking at dealing with, when you were speaking about the Hermetic degrees and dealing with Rome and recognizing the fact that everything, in essence, came out of Kemet. And we see so many remixes when it comes down to Rome, trying to bury our truth to make you think that everything evolved out of Greek and Roman. When we go back to do the research, we have to make sure that we are discerning also the difference between his story and what is actually our history. And that's why it's key that we stand founded upon divine love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and what it is that our prophet brought to us in holy and divine instructions, and also letting us know it's of utmost importance that we have knowledge of history and reliance of Allah. When you brought forth the demonstration in reference to Cunham, dealing with the age of benevolence, and that also being the cycle age of our Prophet Noble Jura Ali, that was so powerful, and being able to hold that thought for that many cycle ages, and recognizing the fact by us being gods, there is nothing that we cannot do. Here in this new era of time, we've got to be able to hold the thought of what the prophet brought to us so that we are able to unfold into the God state. It was very powerful when you were speaking about these monitoring spirits as opposed to familiar spirits. And one can be under attack and be oblivious to what is going on. So this is why it's critical to study self and know thyself. Therefore, knowing how you're made, etc. When you were speaking about the monitoring spirits, it just reminded me of when the prophet spoke about those that were with me 2,000 years ago are with me today. Those that were against me 2,000 years ago are against me today. The prophet also spoke about letting evil spirits incarnate. So when you are founded on the truth, and it speaks about that in our chapter, that you have those that may want to haul you into courts, tear down the character aspect and things of that nature. So we definitely have to make sure that we are demonstrating self with one's passions and desires, because even when you go in the dream realm, you're going to have tests and various things that you have got. That consciousness is key, and we always have to remember, who made us. So gratitude more for calling me forth. Much peace and love to all of my Moorish kin. Islam.
Let us call forth our Grand National Chairman, Dr. Akinat and Pert M. Heru, Tutankhamun Bay. Islam.
Well, Islam, I got you. Can you hear me? Woo, man, this is a powerful journey here. Give praise to Allah and honor to the Prophet Noble Dwell, the last prophet in these days and times. You talking about a swift angel that brought us everything. And more than just wanted to just give a measure. This is one of the most magnanimous journeys that came from. When I first came into the movement, this is what it's really all about. More, you've got to remember that you are about a divine mission. It's between you and the universal creator. It's not so much as say, well, Allah, who's Allah? We're talking about the God in you, the universal order of things. How did you get here in the first place? And where'd you come from? And what's your journey? What's your purpose? So the thing about it is, it lets us know within our lessons, that you are a spirit and a part of the great God, universal Allah. So more, it's a powerful journey. And this is why you learn, one of the first lessons that you learn is who made you. This is number one lesson on becoming a mastermind, once you learn who made you. So I just want to pass this on more. This is one of the most powerful classes that we've had. And all our classes are good. This is one of the most great ones, okay? And I'm not trying to separate or isolate. The thing about it is that it's up to us, to go backward through the ages. It's up to you to do that because you are the master of your own mind. So Islam isn't without a schism. Islam.
We give honors to your chairman for that drawing. Praise be to Allah for all the prophet brought and everything he taught. And he's still teaching. Goodness gracious. Well, speaking of still teaching, let us call forth our national grand sheikh, Dr. Serapis Amin Rael. Islam, you there, grand man? If you're speaking, we can't hear you, sheikh.
Dr. Shaheed, I don't see our national grand sheikh on the board.
Oh, yeah? Well, Allah is leading on and victory is sure. When we give honors to our sheikh for all it is that he has done and all that he will do. So, well, that being said, we'll go ahead and take this measure to the highest vibration. It is possible. You know, praise be to Allah, Islamism without the schism. January 15th, 1929. A warning from the Prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work in their homes or on the streets. We're for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings toward the government of the Prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the laws laid down to them by their Prophet. And if they lose confidence in their Prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where the Prophet found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And if the Prophet is not right, the government is not right. Prophet therefore is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their Prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the Prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. By order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, we bring forth this divine decree, Islamism without the schism. Chapter 25, a holy covenant of the Asiatic nations. Ye are the children of one father provided for by his care, and the breasts of one mother have given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Go in peace, Muslims. Islamism without the schism.
Great class, Dr. Shaheed. Great class. Love all you moves. Peace and love. It's good to pay the dues.
Great class, National Sister Grand Sheet.
Grand class, grand class. Sister Grand Sheet.
Grand class, gratitude. Gratitude. That's the Sister Grand Sheet. Peace and love. Love y'all.
Powerful class.
Peace and love, Moors.
Peace and love.
We love you. Islamism without the schism. I want to give honors to all of our family out there as well. It was a couple of them, you know, C-Mac, who else? It's good, a whole bunch of y'all out there. Yeah, Marquise, the player, and Brother Jehudi. We give honors to all of y'all. You know, make sure y'all share this measure with the people, and hopefully they can tap in. Islam, we love you. See you in Sunday school, Moors. Peace and love.